5-0, do we have play to get into on our latest New York Metropolitan pregame show? How's it going, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here, and we're back at it breaking down all the latest in Mets land. This time, we're going to get you guys set for everything that you need to know ahead of tonight's matchup and series overall in Atlanta against those Braves. For the first time this season, the 45-27 Mets are facing off against the Atlanta Braves, in which Atlanta is currently 31-39. We're going to break down these lineups, as you guys can see beside me, from the Atlanta Braves there to the Mets there. We're also going to talk about the key news that you likely clicked on this stream to a degree for that exact reason, which is the following: that yes, Tylor Megill is the latest right-hander to go down in this Mets rotation. He joins Kodai Senga as the latest two Mets starters over this past week's span to be placed on the 15-day injured list, this time with elbow inflammation, but thankfully it does appear that it's nothing too concerning on Megill's front. There's just a lot of inflammation. The imaging didn't come back too bad, so that is a positive there, but we're going to get into what the immediate remedy now is going to be for this Mets rotation after having plenty depth now without two key starters up until this point in the season. I understand Kodai Senga is on another level in comparison to Tylor in their respective performances, but it doesn't change the fact that the more starting pitching you lose is certainly not a good thing. With Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas waiting the wings to return this team from their respective rehab stints, we now have to wonder who is going to be the immediate replacement for this rotation out of the guys in the farm, as well as maybe some other guys that we're not currently talking about. So a lot to get into in this pregame show, everybody. I'm also very excited to get into our pregame show. We haven't done a pregame show in a hot minute now. We had some availability today, and I honestly didn't get a chance to drop a Big Mets updates video for you guys earlier today because there wasn't really anything for me to share with you all. Otherwise, I would have, because outside of previewing the Braves, there really wasn't much I want to get into on the immediate front, but there has been things that have changed since then. As we know, Megill now going down with injury, and we saw Justin Garza called back up as a corresponding move. The right-handed pitcher that the Mets acquired just over the past week to 10 days or so there. He's already pitched a couple outings for the Mets. Some good, not so great. Either way, Justin Garza back up with the amazing to everybody, but we're going to break down everything that you need to know ahead of this series against the Atlanta Braves. And I definitely want to hear from you guys in the live chat and the comments down below. What is your excitement level? Because even with this Braves team being 31-39, we know that they are no slouch. And we know that the Braves and Mets rivalry has been far and away the most heated out of any rivalry since we've started covering the Mets here on YouTube, going back to the beginning of the 2021 season. So I'm damn excited to get into this one. I'm really curious to see how things are going to fare between the Mets and the Braves, because this is the start of a gauntlet for this New York Mets team. As we know, they're not only facing the Braves in Atlanta for 3, then they're in Philadelphia starting this Friday, in which your guy will be in attendance. And I will tell you guys, I am on a losing streak at home. I've lost the past 3 games I've been to at Citi Field. However, I have a winning streak on the road, including my latest victory there, which was in LA, and that big game 1 victory against the Dodgers there that we saw in extra innings. So we'll see. If the Mets lose this Friday, you can blame me. You can throw tomatoes at me all you want, as I'll probably be ranting and streaming live there from Citizens Bank Park. But then we have another 3-game gauntlet there in Philadelphia, and then a 4-game gauntlet back at home then next week there to face the Braves for that full 10-game stretch. So a lot to get into, a big series starting tonight for this amazing Mets team. And let's give a quick shout out here to our sponsor that made today's show possible, that being our great friends not only at SeatGeek, that have you covered with all of your ticketing needs. Check them out using that link down below. That way you too get 10% off your next ticket purchase. Shout out to our great friends at SeatGeek and utilizing our promo code WARDY10 to be exact, but also our great friends here at BetUS as well, everybody, because as you guys can see, BetUS has you covered with all the latest odds, picks, lines, you name it, on the sports betting front. Or if you guys are more interested in the casino, they have you covered there as well. Please make sure that whatever you do, whether it's betting, gambling, that you guys are doing it responsibly. I don't want you to dabble if you feel like you can't do it otherwise, obviously, but head over to betus.com.pa today and check out our friends by utilizing our promo code YouTube150, because YouTube will get a 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125% bonus on your second and your third deposit, up to $2,000 for whatever you guys have interest in betting on. And as you guys can see right now, believe it or not, the Mets actually are the underdogs with this series odds. The Mets are at plus 145 to win this series in Atlanta per BetUS, versus the Atlanta Braves as the money line favorites at minus 175. I don't know if maybe just because Atlanta's home or what, but I'm sorry, even biasly betting, it would be silly for me not to sprinkle some dollars on this. So I'm absolutely going to be doing that on Mets money line, plus 145 just to win this series overall. I'm taking that every single day of the week and on Sunday. So if you guys want to play this as well, feel free to check out BetUS. And thank thank you so much, and in fact, for doing exactly that. And it does appear, guys, that, oh my God, Carlos Mendoza just announced the worst thing possible for me. Pretty much, my fate is not looking too great for this Friday, everybody. Breaking news from Carlos Mendoza. I might as well just tell you guys now. Let me show you guys. I'm going to just pull it up, but I think it'll make it easier that way. It's not like end of the world news. Frankie, thank you for the $2 holla. Sup, Wardy, who do you think we trade for Duran? Not immediately, no. Duran wouldn't happen until we got right around the trade deadline where the Red Sox were officially selling off more, because they're not selling off beyond Devers just yet. Devers was a unique exception for them versus what they otherwise still plan to do from now up until the deadline. I do like Duran, and I love Duran, but if that trade happens, it ain't happening right now. It'll happen very close to the end of July, if anything. Let me show you guys the following, everybody. There it is, everybody. So starting from the bottom, let's begin there. Tylor Megill says his plan is to rest 7 to 10 days, and then they'll see if he is ready to begin ramping up again. Tylor Megill says an MRI revealed no ligament damage, which is positive news on Megill's injury front, but still not ideal overall. The joint is structurally sound. It just has a lot of inflammation, which he needs to obviously get to calm down. And then Carlos Mendoza just said, per Mike Puma there of the New York Post, that yes, Friday will be a spot start. So your guy Wardy, who will be in attendance Friday, is going to be dealing with a spot start. So that's just fantastic. So excited for that. Can't wait to see Blade Tidwell likely get rocked again, because it does look like Blade Tidwell is going to be the one who is in fact the leader of the pack based on his pitching alignment and based on what the Mets probably need right now to be in that spot. But we don't know anything for certain yet, but that is the latest news there per Mr. Carlos Mendoza, everybody. Let's see. LGM and DD, thank you so much for chiming in. I appreciate that. But yeah, guys, we're just first breaking down the latest news before getting into the lineups a bit more. As you guys can see from both the left and the right side today, we're breaking down here. As you guys can see, Carlos Mendoza said Friday will be a spot starter for this Mets team after finding out the Tylor Megill news. So we'll expand on this more in content tomorrow, but we are now trying to figure out who is that spot starter going to be. And if you're asking for my personal opinion, I do not see it being the obvious leader of it being Nolan McLean. I'm not saying it can't be Nolan McLean, but I feel like I will be surprised if it's Nolan McLean. And the reason for that being is because of the fact that McLean is not the kind of guy that the Mets probably just want to call up for a start. Will they be willing to do that, though? That's what we're going to find out. I hope that we find some more clarity as the day goes on right now, because Blade Tidwell is slotted likely to be that Friday starter for the Mets, which I'm just preparing for the worst and hoping for the best as someone who's already purchased tickets, so there's no backsies now. But what I will tell you is that the Tylor Megill injury obviously puts an immediate need not only for the Mets to lean a little bit more than they would otherwise like to with Mr. Paul Blackburn, but also the fact that now they're going to have to continue to dabble into whether it is the bullpen games of considering the Blade Tidwells, the Brandon Woodells, or the Justin Hagemans. But they're likely not going to do much more beyond that right now. It's hard to envision the Mets are not obviously going to be going out of their way to do any external moves on the pitching front, because they really don't have a reason to. With both Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea and the Waynes returning from injury, they're not back yet, but they're not completely far off either. Specifically in the case of Montas, the Mets are just really hoping that they could get something productive tomorrow out of his latest rehab outing. If they can't get anything productive out of it, then, we'll see if the results at all factor into their next steps with how they evaluate him. Because if Montas pitches well tomorrow, then the expectation is that he will return the Mets from that point on. Whether he's a swingman or back to being a true starter for them, that is yet to be seen. But what is true is that they certainly need the arms, and they don't mind the help whatsoever. And just after you thought the Mets were having an abundance of pitching where, maybe we should consider trading away even a guy like Paul Blackburn, and just like that, now the Mets need these guys now more than ever because of how quickly things can turn on its head. And this, my friends, is what we call the ebbs and flows of a 162 season, and especially when it comes to injuries. These things are just going to happen, unfortunately. So yeah, right now, as the rotation is slotted, because we have tonight David Pearson is toting the rubber against Mr. Schwellenbach, the Schmuck Schwellenbach himself, which I'm not happy to get into. We're going to break that down here in just a couple minutes, folks. MF with the $20 holla. Thank you kindly for that, MF. Today we went LFGM. Michael K is fat. I love that I didn't even see that last part of your donation till now. That's just so random. Thank you for the donation, MF. I appreciate that. What did he say now? What did the Lions speak about? Mario with the $2. Thank you, Mario. What's the Rangers rumor potential trading DeGrom? There is not much more than just some hearsay nonsense of a rumor going on the DeGrom front. If anything picks up beyond that, we'll talk about it, but right now it's nothing of significance from my understanding. Obviously, if the Rangers are underwhelming leading up to the deadline, they wouldn't be opposed to parting ways with DeGrom's contract, but the only likelihood of that happening is if someone goes out of their way to eat that, and if he agrees, I think, because I'm pretty sure he has either a limited trade clause or something along those lines, and, I highly doubt the Mets are going to go out of their way to trade back for Jacob DeGrom after Jake didn't even give them a final say, and contract negotiation, I don't know. You guys let me know what you think on that front. But between Sean and I and Frankie Montas, as we know, working their way back to this Mets team, and then you talk about the other guys in the minor leagues that we just mentioned, that's pretty much what the Mets are rocking with right now when it comes to their starter depth. I know you might not love it at this very moment, and I too want to see Noel McLean up, and that may be a further discussion that we have tomorrow to lean into as to how that can become a reality, the pros and the cons to it, why it may not happen versus why it may certainly happen, and it'll be piggybacking off of some of the things that we touched on in our pregame show today, everybody. But as we now get into breaking down a bit more here on the lives from these respective teams and getting set for tonight's big series between the Mets and the Braves, I would love to first break down the following, everybody, and that is by shouting out everybody in the live chat and everybody that are watching on replay. Let me know all your biggest takeaways in the comments down below and your series predictions as well, everybody. I would love to hear your series predictions to this one, especially this 3-game set. How do you think the New York Metropolitans are going to fare? But shout out to Loaded in the chat. Shout out to D. Shout out to Bobby G. Great member. Shout out to Goomba. How are we doing? Truman, how are you? We got Steve, my man. Hope you're doing fantastic and had a great weekend. Thank you again for the hookup the other day at the game, Steve. It was an absolute blast hanging out with you. MF, how we doing? Kid Jersey going up the list here. Dominic, great member as always. 99. We got the Yank fan in here. LFGM win this series. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, we're getting some nice Yanks fans on ours. All right, I take back everything I ever said, 99, until you start talking smack, and then we're going to go back and forth. Patrick, Jacob, how we doing? D going up the list here. We got Rudy in here. Thank you so much for shaman. And Mr. Metz going up here even more. We got Julian, how you doing? We got Trenton, how you doing? We got Caleb, how you doing? We got Ben, how you doing? Sean Daniels, a great member in the chat. Bobby G, great member. How are you? Broken Chester, my friend. Hope you and your daughter are fantastic. Thank you again for chiming in. Great member. Giovanni, all you guys, come on. Madeline, hope you're fantastic. D, all right, guys. Let's start with the Atlanta Braves series, and they're live today, everybody. Let's begin here. What we see, batting leadoff for the Atlanta Braves is Luis Angel Acuña's older brother, and Mr. Ronald Acuña Jr. Ronald Acuña Jr. has been tearing covers off baseballs since returning from injuries. Currently batting .390 with over 1,000 OPS. He has been absolutely locked in, to say the least. So, yeah, I'm expecting plenty on the front of what we are potentially getting in Mr. Acuña today, especially when you add in the fact that Ronald Acuña Jr. already has himself how many home runs? 7 home runs in just 77 at-bats and a total of 21 games. So, yeah, Ronald Acuña Jr. offensively is picking up right where he left off. The only difference is that he hasn't ran too much yet, which isn't overly shocking. I don't expect him to light the world on fire with stolen base-wise this year, coming back from another serious tear. But the fact that he's batting .390 with 1,000, just under 1,200 OPS in his first 21 games is very on par with what you can expect with Ronald Acuña Jr. when he's at his best. He's a man possessed. We know how good Ronald Acuña Jr. is, and that's why we have to expect David Pearson and the rest of his pitching staff to show respect to these batters and to make sure that we're not sleepy on the fact of how good, especially a guy in Acuña is. Big matchup again, guys. I don't care that they're 8 games below 500. You have to take them seriously as a top dog that they have been each and every season, it feels, out of the National League East. Don't let this year be the demise just because they're off to an anomaly start. Acuna in leadoff, everybody. Batting second is Mr. Evan White there, commanding left field. White has a 243 average and a 669 OPS with 15 RBIs on the season. Matt Olson batting third here for the Atlanta Braves, has 14 bombs, 43 RBIs, a 247 average and an 822 OPS. Batting fourth and in cleanup is Austin Riley at the hot corner, 11 bombs, 36 RBIs, a 281 average and 773 OPS. Batting fifth here in the lineup is Marcell Ozuna with 11 bombs at the DH position, 35 RBIs, a 253 average and 810 OPS. Ozzy Albies there that we're going to see batting in the sixth spot at second base. He has 6 home runs, 25 RBIs, 6 stolen bags, a 222 average and a 619 OPS. The Mets have a couple second base options with better numbers than that. More than just one, actually. Sean Murphy at catcher, 9 home runs, 21 RBIs, 225 average, 778 OPS. Michael Harris II, this has been one of the more surprising ones out of everything that's went wrong so far for Atlanta this year. It's been Michael Harris II's lack of production. All it takes is a series against the Mets, though, to change that, sadly. 6 home runs, 41 RBIs, 10 stolen bases, but a 236 average, 618 OPS. Honestly, very interesting numbers this year. Very interesting numbers. Harris is on pace to have himself like over 80 RBIs this year, 80 to 90 RBIs. But 15 home runs, 25 stolen bags, and not even a 700 OPS is bizarre. Obviously, a lot more baseball needs to be had. Nick Allen there at shortstop there, batting ninth, 13 RBIs, 227 average, 559 on the OPS. Now let's get on to the Metropolitan lineup, everybody. And that is batting leadoff for your New York Mets is Francisco Lindor with his 14 home runs, 38 RBIs, and 13 stolen bases on the season. Good for a 279 average and an 828 OPS. Batting second is Brandon Nimmo, more like Brandon Hemo. Brandon with 13 home runs, 39 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, 244 average, 752 OPS. Batting third is the one and only Juan Soto, as Juan Soto has 13 home runs, 36 RBIs, and 8 stolen bags, 247 average, and an 843 OPS. And Soto also already has what? I'm trying to think in the... Yeah, 843 on the OPS. Okay, just double checking. Here we have batting fourth, Mr. Pete Polar Bear Alonso. 17 home runs already on the season for Pete. 63 RBIs, a 293 average, and a 960 OPS. Jeff Megill there at second base, batting sixth. McNeil's been swinging the bat much better that we've seen for the majority of the season since he's gotten back from injury. 7 home runs, 22 RBIs, 264 average, 885 on the OPS. Batting seventh in DH from the left side is Jared Yan. For those that don't know, the Mets actually have a pretty good record with Jared Yan when he's been batting in the lineup as a starter specifically, funny enough, even when he has not contributed too much himself, contributed rather. 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, 174 average, 747 OPS. Francisco Alvarez at catcher over Luis Torrens today. Alvarez, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, 241 average, 646 OPS. Ronnie Mauricio gained the start over Brett Beatty at the hot corner. Ronnie, home run times 2, RBIs times 2, and stolen bases times 2. 206 average, 701 OPS, and batting ninth. Last but certainly not least, even though the bat wasn't there as much this past weekend, as was the case for everybody in this lineup, it felt defensively, we know how much of an absolute gem he is. And the last time that this man was here, along with Francisco Lindor, man, oh man, did they have heroics. I don't know if you guys remember, but Tylor, his 229 average and 619 OPS. What did this man help the Mets greatly with last year? It was to start the rally in that final game, that final doubleheader of the season against the Atlanta Braves. Tyrone Taylor had that big hit there that got the party started, that got the rally started, and then bing, bang, boom, before you know it, Lindor has himself the bomb. That was electric, and the rest is history. I mean, that last series in Atlanta was one of the best series that I think, have witnessed as Mets fans, knowing the pressure, the stakes that were on the line, knowing that they extended an extra day where everyone else had off, except for the Mets and the Braves. They didn't have an off day. They had to go play that doubleheader game, and they both were able to get the wins and to kick the Diamondbacks out of a playoff spot and both get in it comfortably. Kind of crazy. Really, really is. But guys, now let's talk about the pitching here for a second, because We began the show breaking down Tylor Megill, his injury, and that immediate impact it has, unfortunately, on the Mets rotation, which, as I mentioned, is headlined by the fact that Blake Tidwell, Brandon Waddell, and Justin Hagemans are the immediate options for the Mets, with a high upside option and Noel McLean waiting in the wings. But I think that there's still a bit more of a question mark as to if McLean will be considered already this point in the season. I would love for that to be the case, but we'll expand probably more on that in content tomorrow. So be on the lookout for it, because guys, as we break down this pitching match, oh baby, is it a good one? It's a really good one, actually, as a matter of fact, because you have towing the rubber here for the Atlanta Braves. It is going to be their schmuck himself, and I call him a schmuck because he kicks the Mets' ass. That's Spencer Schwallenbach, the 25-year-old right-hander, was nothing short of jaw-droppingly dominant against the New York Mets that we saw on pretty much his first rookie campaign or so a year ago. And in case you guys are living under a rock or just, did not pay attention to the Schwallenbach-led starts by the Atlanta Braves facing the Mets last year, let me tell you how crazy his numbers are against the Mets, everybody. Spencer Schwallenbach's stats are 2-0 with 20 strikeouts and 3 starts and a 0.86 ERA against the Mets. It's not even fair. It's stupid. The last start he had against the Mets, which was right there on September 30th in that doubleheader, 1 earned run in those 7 innings, 4 hits allowed, and had a total of how many strikeouts? He had 5. And the start before that, he went 7 innings of 1 earned run ball there against these Mets and had 4 strikeouts. And in his first start against the Mets, mind you, as a rookie, he went 7 shutty against us towards the end of July last year, right before the trade deadline. Kind of crazy. And right before the Mets traded for Jesse Winker, and then obviously had that road trip against the White Sox, and then they were in Arizona, and then I want to say they were in San Diego as well. Yes, they were. And yeah, that was a huge road trip that the Mets thankfully were above 500 on, and then they kind of continued on from there. But Schwallenbach will be no easy task for this Mets team, nor will David Pearson be an easy task for the Atlanta Braves. At least that's what we're hoping as Mets fans. But Schwallenbach with his 3.11 ERA and 3.52 expected ERAs facing off here against David Pearson's 2.49 ERA and 3.64 expected ERA so far on the season. Now, Peterson ain't no slouch. We know that David's tremendous, and he's coming off of a complete game shutty, so he knows that he obviously has, decent expectation by this fan base as not only a strong option, but a guy that's going to be able to go deep for this Mets team. Because without him being able to go deep for this Mets team, the bullpen will not only be taxed, but we are going to have greater issues than what we otherwise had previously, because you already have Tylor Megill and Kodai Senga down on the 15-day injured list. So with the Mets already strapped thin of rotation options, all the more reason why they need a guy like David Pearson to come out and ball out tonight against this Atlanta Braves team. And as a Mets fan, I can tell you very much so, I hope the Mets obviously curb stomp these guys. To my Braves fans watching this, I love you guys, and the ones that hate me too, that's fine. I hate you back, baby. That's part of the rivalry, and I want this rivalry to mean something again, okay? Because we have really fallen off a bit since 2022, and I understand the Braves bested us that year rivalry-wise, but didn't change the fact of how, in my opinion, exciting that rivalry became again for the first time, I think, in a hot minute, where it was actually more balanced. The Mets had all their winning ways in the 2022 season up until they fell short and got absolutely curb stomped in Atlanta against those Braves, even with Jake towing the rubber. Didn't matter. I digress. I can't get over it, but I have gone over it, because fast forward, we're now 3 years later since that point. The Atlanta Braves have been up and down. The Mets have been up and down in that span. And right now, the Mets are performing very much at an Atlanta Braves-esque pace and level at 45-27, where the Atlanta Braves are starting at a very much 2024 Mets level at 31-39, or maybe less, because the Mets started to turn the tide last year with their record slowly but surely when they put Lindor in leadoff. That began in mid-May of 2024. So I could have the numbers slightly off there, but you guys get the point that I'm trying to make here. Needless to say, this is a big, exciting matchup, big rivalry matchup between these two teams, and I've been dying for it. I'm actually really happy about the fact that there have been no Braves series up until this point, because I think a lot of series between rivals could be anticlimactic when they're in April or May. outside the Phillies, because Phillies games are always bangers. I feel they're just always bangers, and I'm probably going to get absolutely cooked this weekend there at this Friday game, knowing that Blake Tidwell is likely going to toe the rubber if it's not going to be someone else. But at least I do know in the time being, we will see how things fare with the other aspects of this rotation, beginning tonight with David Peterson towing the rubber, because you're going to have Peterson towing the rubber here for game 1 tonight. And then game 2, everybody, it's going to be as follows. You're going to have Paul Blackburn and his 6.75 ERA facing off against the reigning Cy Young Award winner there in Chris Sale. What is it with just the countless times the Mets head to Atlanta and don't have at all like a solid rotation because of injuries? Like, I feel like this is just such a commonality with this team when they go to Atlanta specifically. Then we see on Thursday, Clay Holmes will be towing the rubber for the series finale night game against Spencer Strider. And that's going to be a big one, because that very well could be a night game rubber match should the Mets take game 1 tonight, Atlanta takes game 2 tomorrow, or vice versa. I would love it the Mets can win today and tomorrow, but I'm just bearing in mind that even with this Atlanta Braves squad being 8 games below 500, they get up early in the morning to play the Mets. You know, this is the exact kind of series that if you're the Atlanta Braves, you know it can help motivate the hell out of you to start to get you on your winning ways and get out of the rut you're currently in. And you also know that if the Mets take care of business rather comfortably in at least 2 games out of 3, then it is even worse than it could have ever possibly been up until this point in the season. Because not only have you been underwhelming all year, but now your biggest rivals, you could argue, in the division, the team that you likely despise the most, that hates you the most as well, just took care of business against you like the top dog that they are. And that's the case, that'll be electric as well. But again, we're going to see what happens starting tonight, everybody. And Peterson towing the rubber game 1, as we mentioned there. Game 2, Blackburn. Game 3, Holmes, meaning that you're going to have the spot starter there, game 4. And then game 5, the Mets will go on there with their rotation, because game 5 right now, I'm sorry, not game 5, but just game 2 in Philadelphia this Saturday, that is going to be Griffin Canning, if the math is mathing for me, given the fact that the Mets had an off day and everything. And I know Canning has not looked great, so yeah, there's a great reality that this weekend could be batting practice in Philadelphia. I'm not looking forward to that, but hopefully the Mets have better batting practice with their offensive upside. And let's get into a bit more on the offensive upside between these two teams and what has been working and not working for them so far this season. Again, if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, please let us know in the live chat as well as the comments down below. We greatly appreciate you guys doing that. Well, I have this game on the Playback app, and not today, my friend, but tomorrow we will be in the Playback app. So I'm actually really happy that you brought that up. Be on the lookout, everybody. Again, tomorrow we will be live in the Playback app with your guy Wardy for game 2 of this 3-game series between the Mets and the Braves. We'll see how they do. Paul Blackburn is towing the rubber tomorrow, so I have a feeling that it might be a terrible playback game choice, but we'll find out. If it's a bad game, then, I said it right there. That's exactly why. But yeah, playback will be tomorrow. You could click the link down below in the description. We have many links down below in the description to check out. But playback.tv/WardyNYM will give you guys the ability to watch the actual Mets game with your guy Wardy in real time during the actual game as it's happening. All you need to do is to sign up to playback.tv/WardyNYM. You don't have to spend a dime, nothing like that. And then you need to have an MLB TV subscription. If you have an MLB TV subscription, that is all you need. You log in, it perfectly pairs, because Playback is officially partnered with Major League Baseball. That's why you might see MLB post and repost stuff for Playback on their socials. Even they posted a graphic with my guy Draftneck Mark the day before I did a live show with him on his platform. And Mark was going to join us today, but he is going to be out of town for a couple days, and I get things set up. So that's the only reason why he's not here. But Mark is here in spirit for when we do our Playback show tomorrow. Be on the lookout. Him and I will be collabing a lot more often throughout the course of the season, just because we obviously, if you guys don't know, Draftneck Mark and I are very good friends, as I'm good buddies with James as well. They're all of them from their show, and Mark and I both work with Playback, obviously, so just perfect pairing for us both being, Mets fans, good friends, to actually pair and do these shows together. So we'll be doing that on a more frequent basis, probably starting next week, if not the following week, but probably next week, if I had to say. Let's see this. Can't wait until Winker replaces Young. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having Jesse Winker back, especially the moxie that Jesse Winker brings is awesome. It just is a shame there really isn't any key update yet on the Jesse Winker health front, which is unfortunate, because as as we know, Jesse Winker, while he is not the best player in this Mets lineup by any stretch, he's certainly an important one. He's a vibes guy, and he's a guy that you love to have in key moments, whether it's coming off the bench or getting that key start there for that certain righty-lefty matchup. That is where Jesse Winker can thrive the way that he did in many moments for the Mets last season, and a little spurts so far this year offensively. He had like 1 or 2 games this year offensively where he kind of like really helped carry the Mets. Outside that, he just takes solid at bats every single time Winker's up there. I'm not really underwhelmed very often when I watch Winker bat, if that makes sense. And there are many guys I've watched bat for the Mets over the years where I don't love their consistency and their quality of at bats. I know a lot of Mets fans don't love the quality of at bats for a guy like Francisco Alvarez right now, for example, right? Well, how I feel about Jesse Winker is so polar opposite to that. I just have a great confidence every time he's up there. The only issue I have with Jesse is the same issue that I have with any good batter, and that is what they naturally do when they see a pitch to hit, and they're going to swing, regardless on if that is the first time that they've swung, or the first pitch that's being thrown, or the 5th pitch, right? And Jesse has a tendency to first pitch swing just a little more than your guy Wardy appreciates. Let's see. Gonna send the jersey to Wardy. What jersey, Goomba? What are we talking about? Might join bomb for. Wait, I want to know what's going on here in the chat. Let me know in the chat, Goomba. I want to be enlightened. Schwallen nuts, you guys cracked me up in the chat, Kevin. To strike out 9 Metsies tonight. I hope that's not the case. But if you are gonna take a Schwallenbach prop, I don't blame you, but here's the thing. Schwallenbach's K per 9 this year is down from last season. I think that would actually be silly if you took him on 9 strikeouts tonight. I think Schwallenbach, I would make the argument that maybe you go under on Schwallenbach Ks, depending on what the normal prop is for whatever respective sports book you may or may not be checking out. Yeah, Schwallenbach, he had 5 strikeouts the last time he faced the Mets, 4 times the time before that, and the first time he faced the Mets, he had 11, and that was in like end of July last year, right before the trade deadline, right before they got Winker, among others. But this is what we have for the Mets lineup as well as the Atlanta Braves lineup. And the Atlanta Braves, when you look at this team offensively on paper, you say to yourself, this is not a bad team at all. This is a team that should be above 500. And you find yourself in agreement with your guy Wardy here more than likely, because I too have been very baffled by the Atlanta Braves' lack of consistent success this season. But what has led to the lack of consistent success? Well, folks, has definitely went in hand with a couple things. Well, let's just take a look here first, starting at team batting per Fangraphs, because what they will tell us is that the Atlanta Braves are currently slotted as the 15th ranked team in Major League Baseball in offense. They're in the 97th percentile in WRC plus, which means they're just below league average, so right around league average, and a 9.1 WAR. Whereas the New York Mets are actually top 5 in total offense right now this season. They have 4 more WAR, if not 5 more WAR actually, than the Atlanta Braves when looking at their total offense, and they're 15% above league average, which is good for one of the best in baseball currently. Then we look at pitching, right? Let's take a look at pitching fundamentals with this Atlanta Braves team. Just how bad has their pitching been at this point? And as we can see, everybody, the Atlanta Braves currently are ranked 20th in pitching with their 5 WAR. And if we take a look at their ranking based on team ERA, they're much better. They're 12th at 3.76. The Mets are still best in baseball with team ERA at 2.99. They are the only team, per Fangraphs, they are the only team in baseball that is technically a sub-3 team ERA still. The Texas Rangers, funny enough, are right behind them at 3.15 with Jacob deGrom, but the difference between the Rangers and the Mets this year is that the Mets actually know how to score runs to a degree. The Rangers don't. That's been the big bugaboo for them and why they're squandering to even be a playoff caliber team this season. But in the case of the Atlanta Braves, it has definitely been a combination of not getting consistency on their pitching. I'm looking at their splits right now here. They're walking guys and not like an absurd rate. Actually, they're walking guys at a lower rate than the Mets and striking out guys at a higher rate than the Mets. However, they are giving up home runs at a much higher rate than the Mets, and that appears to be the problem to a degree. The Mets home run rate this season currently is 0.73 and home runs per 9, whereas the Atlanta Braves are at a whopping 1.12, which is good for, let's see where 1.12 lands them, 19th in Major League Baseball. So yeah, they've struggled to not give up the long ball so far this season. And when we evaluate not just rotation, but let's take a further look into the bullpen in particular for this Atlanta Braves team. for Atlanta based on just their bullpen numbers right now, folks. Let's go with ERA. Mets bullpen is third at 308. Atlanta Braves bullpen is 17th at 3.91 with a .2 WAR, whereas the Mets are at a 3.4 WAR. Holy shit, pardon my French, guys. Do you guys see the difference in value? It is absurd. It is absurd. The Mets bullpen is top 5 in baseball in value at 3.4 WAR, meaning the Mets bullpen itself this season has accumulated for over 3 wins total for the club because they've been that nails. The Atlanta Braves are the complete opposite. The Braves right now at total WAR for their bullpen are at a measly 0.2. So if you want to know what their Achilles heel has been outside of pitching depth with their rotation, because that's fluctuated at times, it has been certainly the lack of consistency on the bullpen front. And then you add in an offense that's not bad, but it's not a top 5 offense we know and expect this Atlanta Braves team to be. When that is not in the category either, that is what you have right now in what has been a mediocre Atlanta Braves team. A team that usually say, oh, the Mets are heading into hot Atlanta. No, they're just heading into Atlanta this time. It isn't hot, at least yet. We'll see what happens, obviously, in this series. All it takes is a big rivalry matchup, as I mentioned, against a team like the New York Mets here to, in fact, spark something on the motivational front, to spark something on really getting them going, locked in, maybe a little bit more than they otherwise typically are. But right now, folks, the New York Mets have a prime opportunity to continue to pounce on what has been the lesser here in the National League East. Because as you guys can see right now, the current playoff configuration has the Mets at first, Cubs at first, Dodgers at first in their respective divisions. Phillies at 43 and 29 are just 2 games behind the Mets right now. That's why this series weekend is huge. And I really don't love the Mets pitching matchups at all this weekend. So that's something that we will talk more about after this Atlanta Braves series. But the San Francisco Giants, who just landed Rafi Devers, and Devers will make his debut for the Giants tonight and will make his 3rd appearance as a Giant against the Red Sox for the first time, however, since being dealt this Friday. So that's insane. The San Diego Padres are in the 3rd wildcard spot. And then the Atlanta Braves guys, they're not even on this graphic because they're so far behind in the standings right now. The Atlanta Braves are how many games out of the wild card at the time of us being live here, that being June 17th, 2025? Well, let me tell you, everybody, the Atlanta Braves are currently a whopping 7.5 games out of that final wildcard spot. And out of the actual division itself, the Atlanta Braves are still 13 games out. So obviously we know we still have this battle going on between the Mets and the Phillies for who's at the top of the list here out of the National League East. But the Braves have not only a climb, but they have a mountain to climb. Not to say it's impossible, because anything can happen with the Atlanta Braves. I will never underestimate them. I will never say that they cannot get something done, as the Atlanta Braves are the Atlanta Braves. Until they show us consistently that they're just not that team anymore, I will have to see it to believe it, because right now this team is going to be getting set for it, and I sincerely apologize for that intro running for the next 10 seconds, or however long it was. If it isn't a Wardy jump scare, is a really a WardyNYM pregame show. But in all half jokes aside, guys, to break down a little bit more here, let me just get this camera focus as well. There we go. I'm loving how the Mets are heading into the series. You want to know why I'm loving it, guys? I'm loving it because the Mets just got embarrassed at home against the Tampa Bay Rays when they had a good crowd all weekend long and what was shitty weather, you know, and the weather is not good today. Fair warning, everybody, in case you guys are hoping the Mets game to be normal today without any issue whatsoever, I do not see that necessarily being the case, because weather has been fluctuating today, and the latest weather reports, everybody, that I'm going to relay to you are as follows. Let's actually check the Mets weather report on X, because this guy's always on top of it. Storms firing up a bit early down by Atlanta. Delay still likely, but now looks more like a delayed start instead of a rain delay after the game began. So if there is a rain delayed start, everybody, that should not impact much of Schwallenbach and Peterson. However, if the game starts on time and after the first second inning, we have a rain delay of a half hour to an hour, that very well could be the demise of Schwallenbach and Peterson and their starts today. So just something to bear in mind. The weather is looking a little finicky there in Atlanta this not only today, but, you know, throughout the entire week. So we will see what happens on that front. And how you doing, Always Frozen? I like the fact that you said, hey, upside down like that. That's pretty unique. Goomba with the $2 haul. Thank you so much. Wardy, have you seen, have I seen, no, I haven't Goomba. No, let me check him out right now, actually. Hold on. If you guys haven't already as well, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button as you first chime in. It really does mean a lot. And also check out, folks, we're going to have a trailer running that you guys will see for every live show we do before the show begins. Please make sure to check it out because we have our first official Wardy Day. Mets Giants, August 1st. You'll be able to hang out with your guy Wardy in a prime exclusive lounge there in the left field section there the day after the MLB trade deadline. Fireworks night there that Friday. Check it out for all the details and tickets available in the description down below. We have limited tickets still available. Please make sure to check it out, guys. I hope to see you there. We're going to be hanging out together live in real time together this time, actually at Citi Field, August 1st, guys, for our first official Wardy Day. But let me look up. Give me 1 second, everybody. Holy shit. I'm not going to lie. I'm under a rock on this. I was completely under the rock on the Brewers rookie right-hander. I knew he was called up, but I did not see how he performed because this was 4 days ago. I was definitely busy 4 days ago. So holy guacamole. 102 fastball and 96 mile per hour slider. Holy shit. He threw 14 pitches over 100 miles per hour and carried a no-hitter through 5 innings for his MLB debut. How did I miss this? I'm really surprised that I missed this. Usually this stuff pops on my feed, and this barely even popped on my feed. And John, I do know about Dylan Ross. We're going to talk about that more in content that drops tomorrow. Be on the lookout for it. Very encouraged by it. I'm loving Mets minor league pitching right now. It's been tremendous all season long. It really has been. But that's very interesting. So Jacob, let's see. Mizorowski, is that how you say his last name? Or Mizorowski? Oh my God. That's stupid. Hines said Tommy John's waiting for him. Give him at least a little bit of time. A little bit of time. Come on. But guys, if you haven't already, now is time for you guys to spam in the live chat as well as in the comments down below your series predictions between the Mets and the Atlanta Braves today, guys. Let's see your series predictions. Again, relay them. Let's see them spammed. And thank you so much for doing exactly that. We're going to stay live here, guys, for another 5 to 10 minutes or so. And then your boy Wardy is going to wrap up the show. But before we get to answering more of your comments, questions, and concerns, I do want to share a couple of things in my own personal opinion on this series. This is a very easy series for the Mets to go out and not perform well because the Atlanta Braves are going to be motivated as hell to play this Mets team. But I think the contrary. I think that the Mets getting swept against the Tampa Bay Rays was a great thing to happen for them entering the series because it was a nice slice of humble pie to now get them set for what is, in my opinion, a greater series, at least on paper, knowing the immediate impact it has with the division. Don't care that the Braves are where they are on the standings. They're still the Atlanta Braves. And until the Atlanta Braves are actually eliminated from this year's postseason run, I do not want to hear it. They are still the Braves at the end of the day. So I not only hope that the Mets win 2 out of 3 in this series, it's not going to be overly easy. I expect this to be a highly contested series for sure, but I love the fact that the Mets have a slight chip on their shoulder heading into this one, which went in direct hand with our odds that we just broke down with our sponsor here at BetUS, who somehow, some way, the Mets have the underdog odds for this series at plus 145. So yes, guys, you heard that correctly. You saw that correctly. I still can't believe it either, but check it out, guys. Again, we're awesome friends here at BetUS by heading over to betus.com.pa today for picks, props, lines, just like that. Odds, you name it. Let's see. You think the Braves sweep, John? Or are you saying sweep the Braves? What are you saying? King Fuego says sweep, but in the Mets' favor. Zach says it could go either way. Of course it could go either way. I mean, that goes with a lot of series. That's why I'm asking you to pick one. But I'm glad that you're picking the Mets. Okay. Are we going to have to face Sale this series? Also, we will have to face Wheeler and Philly. Yeah, it ain't going to be easy. Yeah. Wheeler is cruising this year. Some people want him to start over Skeens in the NL All-Star game. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Zach Wheeler's a dog. And Zach Wheeler is only going to be pitching for another season. Has that kicked in for everybody yet? Kind of sad about it. Like, excluding the fact that he's on the Phillies now and I hate him on the Phillies. I'm always a Zach Wheeler guy. I will always be a Zach Wheeler guy. I will never hate Zach Wheeler outside the fact of when he plays the Mets. I wish him hell, but when he's not playing the Mets, though, I don't really have much ill will with Zach. It's really hard to dislike a guy that I know would have returned if the Mets just didn't basically roll out the red carpet for him to leave the organization. But yeah, after his contract is up, I apologize. After next season, Zach Wheeler is fully planning on retiring. He's already announced this, in case you guys don't know. No, I think he will pitch through the 2027 season. Hines, I thought he said he was retiring after he was 37. Or am I wrong? Do I have my sevens messed up? Because I thought, wait, let me check real quick. Hold on. I thought Wheeler said after his age 37 season he was retiring. But I could be wrong. Because Wheeler's 35 now. Wheeler's 35 already. Yeah, Wheeler's 35 already, guys. Yeah, he'll be 36 soon. Maybe, okay, all right. He said he's retiring in 2027. All right, I'm off by a year. Disregard that. Point is, though, is that Wheeler's only going to be around for 2 more seasons, which is kind of crazy. And we know he's going to pitch elite up until he leaves because his numbers this season are stupid good. 2.76 ERA, 2.33 expected ERA. Oh, my God, 11 strikeouts per 9. Sub 2 walks per 9. Oh, my goodness gracious. Don't tell me Wheeler's supposed to pitch Friday, guys. Don't tell me Wheeler's supposed to pitch Friday. Please don't tell me Wheeler's supposed to pitch Friday. I will not appreciate that at all. Please don't be Wheeler. Dude, come on. Who's supposed... Hold on. This is how I'll know. When's Wheeler supposed to pitch? Let's check. Okay, this is Robert A. Oh my God, it's Wheeler, isn't it? It's got to be Wheeler. Oh my God. It has to be. That's brutal. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? All right, guys. All right, I'm going to tell you something I don't normally say. I take back what I said about me being bad luck. I am not bad luck on Friday because the bad luck is already there. It's Zach Wheeler facing off against a spot starter for the Mets. Regardless of if it's Noah McLean, Blade Tidwell, or whoever, the likelihood of that starter outpitching Zach Wheeler that day is not overly high. So because of that reason, I'm not loving that. So we'll just see whatever the hell is going to happen this Friday. That just, oh my God. That's going to be, I just can't catch a break right now. I feel like the that Mets will tee off. If the Mets tee off, I will be ecstatic, and I will yell out Wheeler's a bum, all this nonsense. I'll be an absolute ass about it. 100%. As a Braves fan, I would say that will go the Mets' way due to the fact that our offense is really bad with runners in scoring position. Overall, it'll be a great series. Go Braves. Good luck, lady. Appreciate you chiming in. And secondly, Mets have not been great with runners in scoring position at all this year either, but they have been better than the Atlanta Braves potentially. I think you could probably argue that. I bet the Mets have put the ball in play more. They've just have been brutal, unfortunately, in a lot of spots. Like the Mets have had endless games of, batting well below the Mendoza line with runners in scoring position. It just has not been good. And that's why the Mets have had one of the worst team batting averages with runners in scoring position out of the entire National League so far this season. Friday can be a bookie delight. I mean, it's true, for sure. I mean, especially if you're going to hammer Mets, because they will probably be the underdog that day, more than likely. Yeah, I mean, that's true. You can hammer, but at the same time, the Mets get cooked, you know why. So I guess we'll see. And this is not that I don't have confidence in my Mets at all. It just has a lot more to do on what's happening with the aspects of the rotation. But Will we finally have any hits with our scoring position tonight? I hope so, Hines. I really do. But before I get out of here, everybody, this is what I want to leave you with. Juan Soto is playing against the Atlanta Braves as a New York Met for the first time ever. I appreciate that, guys, because that adds a completely different wrinkle and completely different element to this rivalry between the two teams. And then you add in the Acuna on Acuna crime. We have ourselves Luisangel Acuna versus Ronald Acuna Jr., brother versus brother. Ronald Acuna Jr., we'll see Luisangel Acuna later on this ball game, because I can almost promise you guys that Luisangel Acuna will be in this ball game by the 7th or 8th inning as a pinch runner and late game defensive replacement potentially. Be on the lookout for that. Don't be shocked to see it happen, because we will most certainly see that be the case, especially if it's a tight ball game. The Mets need some runs late. Steven, great member. How are we, my man? Wardy, they should play little brother Acuna versus big brother for one of the game. They will. I honestly think that they will, truthfully. Let's see. Brandon Rosales, great member, 7 months, my man. Wardy, fire me all the way up. I've had this pencil down for a while as a first big test. Awesome, my man. Happy to have you. And let's fire you up, baby. Let's log the hell in. Let's go. Let's go, okay? Come on. Come on. You want me to hype you up? You guys want to run through a brick wall? I'll make you run through a brick wall. JTB, Soto needs to kick it into gear big time versus our division rivals. I wholeheartedly between the Mets, not the Mets, but the Braves and the Phillies, obviously. Let's see, going up the list. Brian, great member. You think this means the Mets go and try to get Sandy? Not right now, but I definitely see the Mets being involved in the Sandy sweepstakes by the trade deadline for sure. I don't see them going after one like that right now at all. Guys, crack me up. You crack me up. I want to find that. I'm trying to build that energy up a little bit more to get myself really fired up for tonight. But I'm not gonna lie, kind of a blue balls when you get another IL news right before the series starts. Like, how can it not be that? How can it not be that, right? Like, of course, even with Tylor Megill not pitching great as of late, we all know this, it still stings to have an injury. You never want to have more injuries to your rotation than what you currently have. When Kodai Senga, your ace, just went down. But nonetheless, this is going to be a massive series. I'm damn excited, if you guys couldn't tell. So please make sure, again, if you guys weren't planning on it, make sure you plan on it now. Head over to our post-game show live directly after the conclusion of tonight's game between the Mets and the Braves. I'll see you all there. We will then have content dropping tomorrow. 3 forms of content. We will have a video dropping right around in the AM or at absolute latest noon. We will also have a video dropping that you guys will see, pardon me, not a video, but we will have an in-game live stream for a watch party beginning just a little before the game. We'll be live on both YouTube and playback, but we'll probably be live solely in the playback app after the first couple innings on YouTube. And thirdly, most importantly, again, we will be back live for our post-game coverage and hopefully breaking down a series victory tomorrow night for each and every one of you. So until then, everybody, have a fantastic rest of your night, day, evening, whenever you guys are watching this. This is our latest pregame show presented by SeatGeek, our great friends here, BetUS, and also, if I didn't mention them already here, you guys know them plenty, at Moomoo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. Thank you guys again all so much. I'll see you all later tonight. Hopefully you guys get Wardy tomato face jumping for joy, ramped up, because that means that we have a big victory to break down against the Atlanta Braves. And I don't care if Atlanta's 8 games below 500 or 10 games above 500 or 20 games above 500. It's always great when you beat the Braves.